and welcome to Cheeky Geeky, everybody. I am your host, Monet. I know it's been a long time since I've been here, but I'm here.
Oh my god! And it's me, Otogu.
Before we get started, I want to apologize for my long ass hiatus. I had a mental breakdown this time last year, and I needed to step back from a lot of things. One of them ended up being the podcast. I had another breakdown back in November and another one a few weeks ago. So I am taking a break from school and just focusing on my personal real life relationships and my new boyfriend and my work. Um, and getting back into some of the things that I enjoyed. And it's been a great time. It's having that balance has been really good for my mental health. So that's why you guys haven't seen me. Heard me, I should say.
Honestly, they have not heard a lot from any of us, but I am happy to have you here as always. Unfortunately, when we had and could record this, our third member, Nader's girl, had to, be asleep because adulting, which does bring us into one bit of business that I want to get out of the way before we get started on the happy goodness that is Tom Hiddleston, and that the Cheeky Geeky project, production, podcast, all of that is going to be
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
mostly.
Real quick, before you continue anymore, I want to do a quick shout out to Kuxo for being our loyalist of loyal listeners. You can continue.
Yes, Cuxo, he is amazing. Um, but that does bring us into that the project where we basically having to retire it. It hurts me to say that a
Yeah,
lot.
it's sad. This is Cheeky Geeky's been what, 4 years, almost 5 years running, and it's been a blast. But at this point in our lives, we've got too much other stuff going on, and unfortunately, we cannot continue. However, go ahead and give them the other news
What's the other news?
that we're going to be continuing it every year for Hiddlesmonth annually.
Oh yes, yes, yes. Sorry, I have one brain cell left due to the time of day. But this was a very hard decision for me to make because, yes, Monet, she did take a step back and I was continuing it with Nader's girl. But then it got more and more difficult for us to get together. And that's simply because, Monet, you have your school, you have your work, and just doing both of those can just be emotionally and physically draining. And
Yeah.
then we have Nader's girl, who she works full time, she's a mom, and anybody that has kids, especially young kids, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, because Jax is what, just turned 3?
I think
4?
so.
Something like that, yeah.
I
So,
th-
like,
yeah,
he's not a baby anymore.
yeah, he's
He's a
at that.
little tiny human now.
I know, and then there's myself, where I work a full time job plus over the past year, well, 2 years, I have had to take a bigger role in my parents' lives where I've taken over their health stuff, literally everything. So on my days off, I'm doing everything for my house. Yes, Nova helps me, of course, but also theirs, where every single week I'm going to some kind of doctor or some kind of test or some kind of something, for one of them or both of them. And so it's excessively difficult for even two of us to get together, where Monet's staying up late just so we can do this, and I'm pushing off eating. I'm probably going to eat something really quick after we get off, then go to bed myself. And
Yeah,
to
usually in the past, staying up late wasn't a big deal for me, but I turn into a pumpkin at midnight these days because I'm focusing on my mental health and it is 11:41 p.m. So,
Yep. So this is a passion project. We do want to continue it, and we'll continue it with Hiddlesmonth. We may do special things throughout the year, but as far as the month to month thing, it's it's basically project retired, at least for now. We can always revisit it at a later time. I will work to put the stuff on YouTube. I know I keep saying that, but I don't have free time. Um, but we it is Hiddles month. We got together. That's the important bit. We're gonna be discussing Loki. It's gonna be pretty much spoiler free for season 2 because Miss Monet's boyfriend has not seen the whole season, and it is something that I highly recommend watching as spoiler free as possible. So I have figured out a way for us to discuss it and still be spoiler free. I know that sounds weird.
yeah, and the only reason is he's in the room with me and we just started season 2 like 10 minutes ago. No, we started the second episode of season 2 10 minutes ish ago, so but yeah, he's in the room with us. So if you hear a random voice popping in with either nerd rage or commenting on what we're talking about, that's my boyfriend. He's giving me heart hands.
Oh, the wolf. Well, I will say, and I want your opinion on this, and especially his opinion, if he doesn't mind, if he's feeling shy. I'm not gonna put him on the spot, but what were your thoughts just going into it? Because for me, I was honestly worried just because everything's been hit and miss with Marvel. Like before, Marvel could do no wrong. Whatever they came out with was fantastic. You may not like it, but it was good. Where everything seems to be either beloved and good now, or kind of shit. I hate to say it, but um,
Well, I went into it with a lot lower expectations than I did season 1 because season 1 did not meet my expectations, and I stand by that no matter how many times I rewatch it.
okay, I was honestly worried just because, I mean, I liked season 1. I did have extremely high expectations going into season 1, and then it kind of watched like a fan fiction. I
Yeah.
know I'm gonna get shit for it, but it did. But it was good, but it watched like a fan fiction.
Feel like, and a bad fan fiction at that, dare I
Yeah.
say. Feel like there's so many directions that it could have gone, and they chose the wrong one. I would have liked to have seen it where Loki is able to undo his Infinity War death and rejoin the main timeline. And I think that would have been a much better route to take than what they've taken.
I feel like they could have incorporated that, but that would have taken a lot of extra work and a lot of extra dollars.
Marvel has the extra dollars, though.
But they never want to invest it in Loki, even though Loki and Tom Hiddleston has been a huge selling point for Marvel stuff. They never wanted to risk money in it. I am surprised we even got a Loki show. I think the only reason that we did is they were so desperate to get people to subscribe to Disney Plus. They were like, okay, we're going to have to do this because it will get people to actually, put money in our hands.
I feel like if Loki had gotten a movie first, they would have seen how marketable Loki is as a solo project, and it would have done a lot better.
They weren't going to invest in that. Even though we wanted it, they were not going to invest. I mean, how long did it take them for the Black Widow movie that we got that we're not going to jump into? You
Yeah,
know,
that
Yeah, that was a miss.
that was all. If that had come out a few years earlier, it would have been better, but then too little, way too late.
yeah, they definitely they needed to have released that closer to where it fell in the Marvel timeline.
Oh yeah. I'm surprised we got Loki season 2. I now has he seen Multiverse of Madness?
Have you seen Doctor Strange 2?
I believe so. I don't quite remember if I've seen it or not.
Takes place after WandaVision.
I've seen WandaVision.
Okay, it's the aftermath of WandaVision.
Okay. I think I did. I think I did watch it once.
He goes through
it's been a while.
all the different timelines with different variants of Doctor Strange and everything, and Xavier's in it, and
Watch it again. After watching season 2, watch Multiverse of Madness again, because the power of Benedict Cumberbatch boners. Anyway. Marvel has had this huge issue of the whole of after Iron Man, and they need something to have people keep coming back. The problem is that there are so few characters that are there that they can make that head person or that head character. I mean, as a general example, most would scream, well, Spider-Man. Spider-Man's popular, but it's with Sony, and we're not going to even talk about what's going on there. So even though Spider-Man could be the guy, and the MCU did set him up to be, we can't do that, because Sony.
take that's going to piss a lot of people off. I live and breathe Marvel, but
Marvel over DC, definitely.
Marvel has gotten too big for its britches, and I think they've bit off more than they can chew with this multiverse.
They have, and that brings me into the whole multiverse. This new saga that's going to draw in all the Fox stuff and all that just hinges on the multiverse. And the problem with it is that a bunch of the things that play into it did not do well. Like, personally, I actually liked Ant-Man 3 Quantumania. I know most people did not, but I actually enjoyed it, and I am fine admitting it publicly.
Another hot take I have is that it's gonna go away. The MCU is gonna go the way of the comics, and you're going to get people focusing on just their favorite superhero story and not the whole thing as it's meant to be.
Oh, it's been that way. That has been that way for a while. That's why I mean, the main reason I went to go see Ant-Man is Hank Pym, because the actor, I know he is old as hell, leave me alone, but I think he's cute.
Well, I'll straight up say it. The only reason I saw Ant-Man was because of Paul Rudd.
Well, okay, Paul Rudd is good, but I mean, the Catwoman and you know, Douglas, and leave me alone. Loki season 2 after credit, because I knew that was going to be in there.
Oh, you're talking about Ant-Man 3. I'm talking about just the Ant-Man in general. The only reason I ever went and saw the first Ant-Man was because of Paul Rudd. I had no clue who Ant-Man was. I had absolutely no shits to give about Ant-Man until I saw Paul Rudd.
Yes. It's true. It's true. Oh, if Douglas was not in Ant-Man, I would not have seen Ant-Man 1 to begin with.
So we're on the same track there. Okay. At least we're on the same vibe there.
Yes. But it has gone from, oh, I want to see everything, to, oh, well, I can either wait for it to go on a streaming site or something like that. The only ones that I insisted on, and got COVID both times, is seeing Spider-Man No Way Home and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, both because the power of Benedict Cumberbatch boners, but also because I do like Spider-Man, but they got Doc Ock to come back, and Willem Dafoe, and they're both hot. Leave me the hell alone.
Can I tell you a secret?
What?
I have yet to watch the Marvels.
I didn't watch the Marvels either. I know Tom's wifey is in there, and that is the only reason I'm kind of curious, and I'm like, that can't even sell me on seeing it. It doesn't matter.
Can I tell you another secret?
Sure.
I tried watching it and I fell asleep 20 minutes in.
Can I tell you a secret without you blocking me and no longer talking to me?
Sure.
You gonna hate me for saying this.
What's that?
Okay, in my defense, I did rewatch it when I was older and could appreciate it. But, so when Star Wars Episode 2 came out, me and my uncle's girlfriend's younger sister got left behind while everybody else in the family went line dancing or some crap in a bar in Texas. And she wanted to watch a movie, put on Episode 2. By the time that they were chasing the assassin, and you know how Anakin was jumping from the hover thing and stuff, that's when I fell asleep.
I have no words.
I know. I was young. I'm just saying that you may want to watch it, even though I have no intention of watching it myself. But that also being said, it could go the way of every time Nova tried to watch The Passion of the Christ, where he just fell asleep in the first 5 minutes of it.
Oh, that's me with the new Dune movie. I can't get very far into it without just passing out completely. I wake up what year is it? Oh my god, am I Rip Van Winkle?
Oh. But all of this just speaks to how important it was for Loki Season 2 to be successful. Because with the TVA, and this is talking about Season 1 specifically, it introduced the basic understanding of what the multiverse was. Because they have the technology to basically go into different, the multiverse. And because they are focused so much on that, and that's what's hinging all this future stuff, that if Loki Season 2 did fail, then that's Marvel would be basically done. Because...
Yeah. I do find it interesting. Have you watched... I'm assuming you have because you asked me. The trailer for Deadpool 3.
I did.
I feel like the only reason we got Loki to begin with was to set up Deadpool 3.
Or at least the multiverse, but yes.
Yeah, because the TVA shows up in the trailers for Deadpool 3. That's not even a spoiler.
Well, see, I didn't want to mention that in case, since he I don't know. But yes, the TVA is there in some aspect, and honestly, the survival of Marvel now depends on the properties they have shitted on because
Yeah.
Fox owned them. So now, and it's I hate to say it's kind of like when they brought in a bunch of WCW guys into the WWF and then expected a different outcome when they spent years shitting on them.
Um, I feel like the future of Marvel is going to heavily depend on the success of Deadpool 3.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um
I feel like Deadpool 3 is going to bring in box office numbers because it's Deadpool and it's Ryan Reynolds. But I feel like there's a heavy chance that it's going to flop in critical and viewer reviews.
well, I think that's because of a few different factors, and it's the same thing with Multiverse of Madness, Loki season 2, where we have these very, very high thoughts on them, but there have been a bunch of leaks, a bunch of changes, and I'm not sure if Deadpool had the same issue as Multiverse of Madness, where there was a bunch of rewrites and stuff due to COVID, and then it being a different part of the timeline and changes. So I don't know how bad that part is with it. I am curious how the TVA is going to play a part. There's also the question, I can't speak too much on it, of if the TVA is after Loki season 2 or something else. I do think it's after Loki season 2 though.
I think it's after season 2 as well.
Now as far as expectations meeting reality when it came to the different episodes, it did not start off strong with me, but the longer I watched season 2, the more I enjoyed it. It was...
I forced my way through season 2. I will fully admit the only reason I watched season 2 was for there's 3 reasons I watched Loki season 2. Tom Hiddleston, Owen Wilson, and the Loki Mobius bromance.
That checks out. That computes.
Those are the only 3 reasons why I even had any interest in watching season 2.
Yeah. That and seeing how they set up the multiverse, that was pretty much my driving force. But and this is not a spoiler. This is not a spoiler. But the real question is now, is everything was filmed, everything was released before the guy who played Kang, basically his career imploded due to arrests and trials, and Marvel was like, we're done. Season 2 could have fixed that in some kind of rewrite or whatever, because he was supposed to be the whole Kang Dynasty thing, and now they're going to need to either recast him or figure some other crap out.
Yeah.
Because that's, yeah.
I'm gonna have a Peter Griffin moment here. It really grinds my gears when actors fuck up their lives because they in turn fuck up everything for the industry that they're working in and the fans.
Oh yeah, because I mean, how many first off, the stuff that he did, just to start off on, but to pile on that, how many jobs, how many families has he affected because of work that no longer will be done, or different work that will now be done?
Through watching the Boy Meets World podcast, Pod Meets World, I have learned that for any work that you do under contract, whether it's used or not, you still get paid for it.
That's good.
So they still got paid for it. I don't know if he had to personally return any funds or anything like that, but the majority of industry contracts, you get paid for work that you've done, whether it's used or not.
Yeah, but a lot of it had yet to be filmed and stuff like that.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah, the writers may have gotten paid, but
And he still got paid for the work that he did, which I don't care about because, he fucked his own shit up.
yeah.
And he needs to pay the repercussions of that. But as far as the people who are working on the Loki project directly involved with his bullshit, I don't think they were financially impacted as much as they could have been were industry contracts not set up the way they were.
Oh, yeah. Um, but as far as future projects, it definitely affected it. Now, as far as commercially successful, unfortunately with streaming, it's a lot harder to tell viewership than with regular TV. That's one of the arguments, even with this year's Super Bowl, where some people are saying, oh, well, it wasn't successful viewership. Other people are saying that it was, even though there's no solid way of getting real numbers, because a lot of the streaming services do not want to release those numbers. But as far as hype, go
You've
ahead.
got people like me, they count one view per account. They don't necessarily take into account the different profiles that may be in different locations watching at the same time. Like, because my dad and I watched the Super Bowl on my Paramount Plus account from 2 different locations, and it only gets counted as one view.
Yep, and then how many people are watching that TV?
Right. I had 3 other people watching the Super Bowl at my house with me.
Yeah, and that's the problem with a lot of the streaming stuff, is it's really hard to tell in solid concrete numbers, minus, okay, well, this series is about to drop, we've seen these many new signups, and then these many new signups or these many signups dropped after the final episode. That's one way that they can really measure a success, but it's a lot less consumer facing.
Yeah.
And the main ways that consumers can really get a guise on if something is successful or not is if people are talking about it and how they are. And Loki seems to be one of the few that has had a positive of anything. I mean, I loved Multiverse of Madness, even though it had a shit ton of issues, and I will be the first to say it, but even that was financially, successful because it was in a movie theater. We can see if it made its money back. With these TV shows, there's no way to really see how much money they made back from it.
For me, if I enjoy something, if I walk out of a theater or turn off a show feeling entertained after watching it, I consider it good. I thoroughly felt entertained walking out of Multiverse of Madness, so it was a good movie for me. I don't see problems because I'm entertained. I'm a very easy viewer to please.
I really enjoyed WandaVision and Loki season 1. I like the plot, the twists and turns.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, even my mom liked. I started. It is hard getting my mom to watch stuff with me because she's not into sci-fi. But I got her to start watching WandaVision simply because it's one of those that's more. I hate to say based in reality, but it has just enough sci-fi, comic book stuff, but also harkens back to those old TV shows.
Yeah.
That she enjoyed it.
I wish Loki had been more like WandaVision, in all honesty. Why don't we take an ad break now and come back to this after the ad break?
Okay. We will come back after this ad break. And for those watching this on YouTube, we will be posting it as part 2.